Escort cruisers entered the war late in the first year, and were quickly put to work by the Jedi generals commanding their various Republic fleet groups. The Arquitens was fast enough and strong enough that it became a favorite amongst Jedi commanders for missions requiring a ship with a little more power than the repurposed Consular-class cruisers, which were beginning to show their age. The primary role of the Arquitens-class cruiser was that of an escort ship. When working with merchant shipping, it could assume the role of the command ship, directing the efforts of a number of smaller cruisers or fighter craft. It was also sufficiently nimble to allow it to move quickly to trouble spots to reinforce allied vessels before returning to its assigned position. And when it was assigned to fleet groups fielding Star Destroyers and other capital ships, the Arquitens-class cruiser was still in effect an escort ship. A number of them would act as picket ships, patrolling the perimeter of the fleet group and even acting as advanced scouts. In combat, their speed allowed them to engage larger, better armored enemy craft at a velocity that made them more difficult to hit than a slow-moving Star Destroyer. As a fast response craft, a number of the cruisers could quickly move to briefly shield an allied ship encountering difficulties. However, such a move generally cost the light cruisers dearly if they themselves were not backed up by a capital ship. Arquitens were also known as the Republic or Jedi light cruiser, and became as well known as the Venator-class Star Destroyer, seeing combat in almost every theater during the Clone Wars. It also fulfilled some rather unusual roles. There was an instance during the Clone Wars when Obi-Wan Kenobi used one of these cruisers with himself as bait in an effort to capture General Grievous at Salakami. And there was another incident during the Clone Wars at Godiva when a cruiser flew under a slaver facility to pluck prisoners from certain death at the hands of a cruel Zagirian warden. The light cruiser was a real success story, which was one reason why the craft was maintained by the Imperial fleet after the fall of the Republic. When the Empire began to expand its operations into the Outer Rim, it would often encounter worlds on which there was no easy holonet access. Until a proper comms center could be built, or if the existing center was damaged or destroyed, important messages had to be relayed from the surface via a specifically designed communications vessel. And it was to this end that the Empire repurposed the majority of their Arquitens-class cruisers, packing the little ships with the appropriate transceiver relay technology. Under normal conditions, encrypted transmissions were beamed up to the ship in orbit and from there out to the holonet. Under security lockdowns, where a concern existed that such transmissions might be intercepted, droids were used and escorted under guard from a main collection point to a shuttle that took them to the communications cruiser. Now, the Arquitens-class light cruiser itself was fully designed and built by Kuat Drive Yards, or the KDY. The Arquitens was pretty much the hull of a Star Destroyer shrunk down into a small triangular slab of metal, with the engines of the Consular-class vessel that you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon flying in at the beginning of Episode 1, slapped on the back of it. And even though it looked like it was only an average or below average cruiser, it actually did perform rather well. With only slightly less acceleration than the lighter Consular class, the Arquitens could still get a target under its guns quickly. While the Consular's weapons were a later addition, those of the Arquitens were anything but. The command tower was flanked by two quad laser turrets, and there were two more mounted underneath the ship closer to the front. And each side had an additional two dual turbolaser cannons. These could be repositioned to fire to the side, the back, or the front as required for any given mission. For the most part though, they were quite often just left to fire the broadsides. Now, between the turbolaser cannons on the side could be seen the protruding mounts and open ports of dual missile launchers. Now, combined with the ship's speed, an Arquitens cruiser could lay down considerable fire, making it a nightmare for enemy fighter craft and even posing a danger to the Separatist larger capital ships. To fully protect those all-important cannons during entry into an atmosphere, the weapons themselves can be fully retracted into the hull. Now, an Arquitens class cruiser was actually not really the most comfortable ship to be assigned to. Its brightly lit, low-ceilinged octagonal corridors led to small crew quarters. The little additional storage space left was taken up with munitions. There was only the most basic mess and medical facilities, as it was generally assumed that crews would rotate with personnel aboard capital class vessels. Now, there was a small security door that led onto the bridge of an Arquitens class cruiser, which was an equally cramped affair. On the upper walkway of the split-level bridge, the pilot and co-pilot sat in the center, with additional crew stations to the side and behind. The ship could easily be operated by just the two pilots, with the guns set to automatic. Generally though, a captain had bridge crew of some half-dozen troops as standard, including 2 gunners. And that is my summary of everything you need to know about the Arquitens class light cruiser as used both during the Clone Wars and the Galactic Civil War. Be sure to let me know what you think of the video. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to help support the channel and to stay up to date with my latest videos, and I'll catch you all in the next one.